Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Battles and Makers of a Boy, which hosts Bang and Dang, coming off of the most messed up episode that battle we've done.
most methed up.
Methed up? Well, nowadays it would be in Lawrence, Kansas, but the Lawrence Massacre, or Kansas Massacre, or Quantrill's Raid,
Yeah, that's terrible.
as it was, 150 men and boys unarmed, but just moited. But coming off of that, we got, on that same day that just took place, we got the Second Battle of Chattanooga. We got the Bayou Meto, and the Devil's Backbone, plus Whitestone Hill, which we got some more Indian fights coming up here on this episode before we lead into next week, where we'll have the first battle of the Chickamauga Campaign and then move into the Battle of Chickamauga. But first, coming up, Second Battle of Chattanooga was a battle in the Civil War, clearly, beginning August 21st, 1863, at the opening. Oh, no, wait, I'm a liar. This Battle of Chattanooga was the opening battle of the Chickamauga Campaign. August 16th, 1863, Major General William S. Rosecrans, commander of the Army of the Cumberland, launched a campaign to take Chattanooga, Tennessee. Colonel John T. Wilder's brigade of Union 4th Division, 14th Army Corps marched to a location northeast of Chattanooga where the Confederates could see them, reinforcing General Braxton Bragg's expectation of a Union attack on the town from that direction.
August 21st. Wilder reached the Tennessee River opposite of Chattanooga and ordered the 18th Indiana Light Artillery, commanded by Captain Eli Lilly and his battery, to begin shelling the town. He said, "Shell those town, Lilly." The shells caught many soldiers and civilians in town, in church, observing a day of prayer and fasting. Well, that's bullshit. The bombardment sank 2 steamers, docked at the landing, and created a great deal of consternation amongst the old Confederates.
All right, well, continued periodically over the next 2 weeks, the shelling helped keep Bragg's attention to the northeast, while the bulk of Rosecrans' army crossed the Tennessee River well west and south of Chattanooga. When Bragg learned on September 8th that the Union Army was in force southwest of the city, he abandoned Chattanooga and marched his army of Tennessee into Georgia. Bragg's army marched down the Lafayette Road and camped in the city of Lafayette.
Oh, I bet.
The American Battlefield Trust and its partners have acquired and preserved more than 405 acres of the battlefield at Chattanooga as of mid-2023. They're still working. They're still working.
Nice. Good for you guys. That was what battle?
Chattanooga, second Chattanooga.
Oh, that wasn't even a battle. It was a skirmish.
It was a nothing.
Okay, we're at the Battle of Bayou Meto, also known as the Battle of Reed's Bridge, fought near present-day Jacksonville, Arkansas, along the Bayou Meto River.
Not only does Arkansas have a bayou, but they also have a Jacksonville.
Ain't that fantastic? It was fought along the Bayou Meto River on August 27th in the year of 1863 during the American Civil War. The Confederate situation in the state of Arkansas looked bleak. Union forces had won 2 significant victories in northwestern Arkansas in 1862, and they occupied the Mississippi River down of Helena, or Helena. I don't know how they say it. They say Helena in Montana. It might be Helena down in Arkansas. We don't know. January of 1863 saw the loss of the Arkansas post. An attempt to retake Helena on the 4th of July was bloodily repulsed. Union forces wished to control the Arkansas River, and the Union victory and siege of Vicksburg had freed up previously occupied troops to Soyvis in Arkansas. So they're like, hey, we just kicked ass at Gettysburg and Vicksburg, bud. We can stand a few.
We got some free troops now. Yep. Major General Frederick Steele was placed in command of Union forces at Helena. He began an offensive movement against the state capital and Arkansas River stronghold of Little Rock on August 10th and 11th. His men reached Clarendon August 17th, where they were joined by a cavalry force commanded by Brigadier General John W. Davidson. However, Steele's force was racked with disease, and the Union commander sent Davidson and his cavalry across the river while moving the rest of his force upriver to Duval's Bluff, which was believed to be a healthier location.
I bet they have a chlamydia.
Oh, that or cholera.
Right.
Nasty-ass water they're probably have to drink and gross.
Well, on the old Reb side, Lieutenant General Theophilus Holmes had fallen ill. Damn. and is replaced by Major General Sterling Price. I haven't heard his name in a while.
We don't.
Price responded to the Union movements by ordering cavalry commanded by Brigadier Generals Lucius Walker and John Marmaduke. Hey, these guys too. And they did that at Brownsville. It said, gather there, boys, which was on the road to Little Rock. Walker and Marmaduke had both fought at Helena. Walker and Marmaduke had both fought at Helena, where an intense feud between the two generals had formed.
Ooh, yeah.
Price also ordered the construction of the defensive positions across the river from Little Rock. Well, good for you, Price. He was aware that this position was only really tenable if the Union attacked head on, which was unlikely. Let's do it anyway. I guess. As the Arkansas River could easily be crossed at many places downriver from the city.
Right. The Confederate position at Fort Smith on the Arkansas on the western side of the state was also threatened, and Price began removing stored materials from Little Rock and preparing to evacuate. August 26th, part of Davidson's command encountered Marmaduke near Brownsville and drove the outnumbered Confederates back in the battle of Brownsville, which I believe we had as well. The next day, Marmaduke and Walker fell back to the far side of the Bayou Meto River, which was 12 miles northeast of Little Rock.
Well, the Rebs' position at Bayou Meto was near the present-day location of Jacksonville, which we said earlier. A small skirmish was fought there on the 26th of August, but the next day saw Davidson advance with his main force. The action, it began when part of the 10th Illinois Cavalry Regiment ran into Confederate soldiers 5 miles from the bayou. The Illinois cavalrymen forced the Confederates to retreat for 2 miles, and then the rest of the Colonel John Montgomery Glover's Colonel John Montgomery Glover's brigade was deployed. He was like, go get 'em, boys. Old Marmaduke from the Rebs had Shelby's Iron Brigade, commanded by Frank Gordon at that time, and a brigade commanded by Colonel William Jeffers, which was a raid between the Union troops and the bayou.
All right, well, Union attack drove the Confederates back to defenses constructed in front of the bayou, and Marmaduke's men were driven back across the bridge by an attack from the 3rd Missouri Cavalry Regiment and the 32nd Iowa Infantry.
Cool.
With his troops across the bayou, Marmaduke had the bridge burned. A charge by the Union 1st Iowa Cavalry Regiment failed, and two sides took up positions stretching along the Bayou Meto or Meto.
Shit.
Davidson then deployed his artillery.
Oh, that's when things went south.
Artillery out.
Much of the rest of the fighting was back and forth artillery dueling that claimed the life of a Confederate artillery officer, prompting Marmaduke to mass his artillery against the Union guns, hoping to exact revenge on that Union cannon.
So he's like, I want all the guns concentrated on the one that killed my artillery officer.
Despite being outgunned, as always, the Confederates were able to significantly reduce the accuracy of the Union fire through well-placed shots. Hey, look at you. Put this guy on the other artillery fights. Part of the Rebs' force had been cut off on the far side of the bayou during the early retreat across the bridge, and they forced across the water by the 10th Illinois Cavalry. He's like, you guys got to go.
Well, Davidson missed the opportunity to attack Marmaduke's weak right flank and then retired at sunset to Brownsville.
Can't have a weak right flank.
And you can't miss an opportunity to attack it either. The Union force had lost either 7 men killed and 48 or 38 wounded, or a total of 46 men during the battle.
Okay.
Full Confederate losses are not known, but at least 2 men were killed, in addition to several wounded. Yeah.
Despite winning this very battle, during the night of August 27th or the morning of 28th, the Confederates left the field, taking up a new position less than 5 miles from Little Rock. During the fight, Marmaduke had sent Walker to a note asking him to hold a conference at the battlefield. Marmaduke did not feel that he could leave his force during the battle. Walker neither came nor replied. The relationship between the two officers worsened, culminating in Walker's death in the Marmaduke-Walker duel on the 6th of September. What? We got a Marmaduke-Walker duel?
We got a Marmaduke-Walker duel.
Damn.
We'll cover that in a separate thing since it's on September 6th.
Shit.
Steele joined Davidson at Brownsville on September 2nd, and the Union force resumed its movement on September 6th. The next day, Steele reached the Arkansas River and fought the skirmish at Ashley's Mills, and Davidson pushed his cavalry across the river via pontoon bridges on the morning of September 10th. Marmaduke fought the Battle of Bayou Forge, which we'll have, I believe, next episode. So, National Register of Historic Places on December 31st, 2002, registered that as the Bayou Meto battlefield.
Arkadelphia.
Arkadelphia, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we'll have the Bayou Forge, next episode.
Well, that was an interesting little skirmish there. Or was it a battle?
It was a battle.
Okay. The Battle of Devil's Backbone, also known as the action at Devil's Backbone, It was in a military engagement in the Trans-Mississippi Theater. After driving the Rebs' forces farther south into Indian Territory in late August of 1863, Union Major General James Blunt
beautiful
rapidly turned toward Fort Smith. He rapidly turned. He was like, Fort Target! Fort Smith, march! Blunt's... Sound
like Germans.
All right. Blunt's troops skirmished with Confederate Brigadier General William Cabell. His brigade, it was southwest of Fort Smith on August 31st of 1863. Cabell decided to retreat southeast and sent his baggage and ordnance wagons off that very evening. Discovering this Confederate retreat the next morning, Blunt took an infantry regiment and captured Fort Smith without incident. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
While Colonel William F. Cloud led about 1,500 of his cavalry and artillerymen in pursuit of Cabell.
All right. After retreating down the road toward Waldron, Arkansas, and Scott County, Cabell turned around to buy time for his slow-moving wagons to escape. His force totaled 1,250 men, but probably not all participated in the ensuing action.
Right.
Morale was a problem. Some of Cabell's troops were described as deserters, conscripts, and jayhawkers.
Oh, jeez.
With little interest in the Confederate cause.
Right.
Cabell concealed a reliable cavalry regiment at the base of Devil's Backbone, which was a ridge crossed by the road. 3 unreliable cavalry units were stationed on the hillside beside the road, with an artillery battery and an infantry regiment posted a few hundred yards up the slope behind the cavalry.
This sounds like it's not go too well for Cabell.
Yeah, Cabell's not doing so good right now.
Well, it was noon. Cabell drew first blood when Cloud's advance guard blundered into the concealed cavalry regiment's ambush.
Just wandered right into him.
Right. The advance guard survivors fell back in confusion as the Rebs' battery began firing upon the rest of Cloud's arriving command.
That's what the battery sounded like.
Oh man, the Federales they deployed the old Union troops deployed their artillery across the road. It went into action as Cloud's cavalrymen dismounted, now becoming infantry. They formed either side of the road, advanced to the base of the ridge, and they began to ascend the slope.
The concealed Confederate cavalry regiment retired before this advance, even though Cloud's troops had not yet opened fire.
I don't care who you are. I'm not walking up a hill.
I don't care who you are. That's funny right there.
I ain't walking up a hill to battle.
No.
There's people on top of the hill.
Well, it's a slope, though.
Still a hill.
Very different than a hill. A slope.
There's still people.
Gradual incline or something.
Right. But still, there's people higher.
Well, clearly. Higher and higher.
Right.
At this point, Cabell's other units demonstrated their unreliability. Well, that's why you go up the slope.
Idiots, right.
An officer with Cabell's infantry regiment recalled. As the Yankees came in musket range of Cabell's lead-in regiment, it stampeded without firing a shot and running into and through the 2 regiments in its rear. Stampeded them, and the whole combined mass ran through the left wing of Cabell's infantry regiment and swept them off the field.
How?
In an instant, Cabell's force was reduced to 1 cavalry regiment, the battery, and part of the infantry.
Oh, my. That's just sad. I wouldn't even put this down in lettering.
Well, if it was...
Who is this Cabell guy? Is this the first time we had him?
No, he was on a couple others.
Did he do this bad before?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
I don't think he's 1-1, to be honest with you.
Oh, jeez. Cloud pushed his dismounted cavalrymen to within a quarter mile of the Confederate line that was on the ridge's summit. The action degenerated into a small arms and artillery skirmish for about 3 hours.
Wasting ammo doing that shit. Like, what are you doing, really?
Right. Worthless Cabell directed the fire of the Confederate battery as Cloud's men made occasional demonstrations of attacking. Like, hey, look,
They're like, we're marching.
Right. Or we're not. We're just standing still. Marching in place.
Are we gonna?
It looks like they're getting closer. Wait.
No.
But no attack ever materialized. The parties were content to trade fire without close combat. Yeah. Stupid. Like you said, wasting ammo when their old Rebs didn't even have enough to do anything with anyway.
Well, when the action ended, both sides claimed victory. Cloud reported that the Confederates suddenly retreated during a suspension of Union gunfire. Cabell may have misinterpreted the suspension because he reported that Cloud was repulsed and that the Confederates then withdrew.
Oh, jeez.
In any event, the Union held the field at the action's conclusion, which means they won the battle. All contact ceased with Cabell's withdrawal. He reached Waldron the next day, and Cloud returned to Fort Smith. Bunch of nothing.
Right.
Always.
All right. Well, by capturing Fort Smith and defeating Cabell at Devil's Backbone, the federal forces gained a foothold in the Arkansas River Valley. I mean, something that the Rebs didn't want after Mississippi's gone. Now you're giving up Arkansas River. That was a major focal point and stuff, too. From this base, the federal units would battle Confederate partisans. They would also march to participate in the April 1864 Camden expedition. They also supported the federal efforts in the Indian Territory.
Yes.
While the later Battle of Massacre Prairie in July of 1864 demonstrated Fort Smith's vulnerability, nonetheless, it remained a United States garrison for the rest of the war. American Battlefield Trust and his partners have saved more than 10 acres of the Devil's Backbone battlefield as of mid-2023.
Look at this mid-2023 accusations that these guys are doing.
Right, and we thought they didn't want to.
Right. Last battle of the day, Battle of Whitestone Hill.
Oh, Whitestone Hill, huh?
This is the culmination of the 1863 operations against the Sioux or Dakota people in Dakota Territory.
Just leave those damn engines alone.
Racist. In the bitter Dakota War of 1862, a faction of the Santee.
That's my ancestors.
Well, none of these guys are.
Not these guys.
Right, so they're not your ancestors.
Other engines.
In the bitter Dakota War of 1862, a faction of the Santee, Dakota, or Sioux, they were both interchangeable,
right, in
Minnesota rose up in a rebellion against the United States because of the non-payment by the U.S. government to the Sioux of much-needed food and money required by treaties.
Yeah.
United States government's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
The Sioux killed more than 600 white people, mostly unarmed civilians.
Yeah, that's where they messed up. They just went in and
they
killed
started
everybody.
attacking
children, women,
like not pioneers, but like travelers and
pioneers.
Yeah, but pioneers are people that build things. Most of these people are just going.
Well, the Sioux were defeated. Leaders of the rebellion executed.
Yeah.
April of 1863, nearly all Sioux, whether participants in the war or not, were forcibly expelled and ordered to leave Minnesota. And Sioux lands were confiscated. It's like, you guys messed up.
Like, we tried to level with you guys.
Right. This caused about 4,000 Santee to flee from Minnesota to North Dakota.
Or Dakota Territory.
Right, where they united with the elements of the Yankatoni, the Yankton, and the Lakota at the Teton Sioux, or the Teton Sioux. Sioux warriors continued. That never happened. You never got intermixing of tribes.
Yes, you did.
Not really.
Yes, you did.
Mm-hmm. They had to be Sioux, but they had to be Sioux.
No, every battle that we've had that involved Indians, multiple tribes.
Lakota and Sioux didn't get along.
Clearly they did.
Well, Sioux warriors continued to carry out small-scale raids on civilian and military targets in Minnesota, mostly civilian.
Mid-1863, the United States Army, under General John Pope, this guy, remember? Yeah. In Minnesota, he mounted 2 large military expeditions against the Sioux in eastern Dakota Territory. The objectives of the expeditions were to prevent a renewal of the 1862 war, promote white settlement in the eastern Dakotas, and to protect access to the Montana gold fields, via the Missouri River. Brigadier General Henry Hastings Sibley commanded one of the 2 prongs of the operation.
Oh, no shit. Good for him.
Damn, he was just in Oklahoma, so now he's got to go up and dude just like, why do I got to fight the Indians?
Right. He led 2,000 soldiers overland from Minnesota to the Missouri River, fighting 3 battles in July with the Sioux at the Big Mound and the Dead Buffalo Lake, and also at Stony Lake, which we did
were
all of those.
Last couple episodes, those were.
Although he did not inflict heavy casualties.
Our last episode, period.
Yep, Stony Lake. Just Stony Lake.
Nope. That was one before. Yep.
There it is.
Yeah, Sibley. Yeah.
Although he did not inflict heavy casualties on the old engines, Sibley's men pushed the Sioux to the western side of the Mizzou and destroyed much of their property, including winter supplies of jerky.
Like I said the last episode that we had this, why would they not take jerky?
Right.
Why would you destroy jerky?
And why would you destroy the teepees? Who cares?
I mean, they can't live it. It takes a lot of animal hide to build a teepee. So
the second prong of the operation was led by Sully.
Oh, Sully,
who was supposed to ascend the Mizzou River
and then
with
land a plane in
men.
the Hudson River.
Right. And he was supposed to rendezvous with Sibley and crush the Sioux between the 2 forces. Well, Sully and Sibley. The law firms of Sully and Sibley.
Because of low water in the river, Sully was delayed in ascending the Missouri in steamboats.
Of course he was.
When Sully arrived in the vicinity of present-day Bismarck, North Dakota, in mid-August, Sibley had already returned to Minnesota.
Isn't Bismarck the capital?
It is. Stupid Sibley.
Hey.
Now, what are you going to do, Sully?
Right.
Well, Sully's he said, I'll tell you what I'd do. His 1,200 men included 6 Iowa Cavalry, commanded by Colonel David Wilson, the 2nd Nebraska Cavalry, commanded by Colonel Robert Furness, plus 8 mountain howitzers, scouts, and a wagon train.
Ooh, we have 8 mountain howitzers, dude?
Yeah, they're going to mess these guys up. The Indians have no artillery.
Right, of course. If you want to count arrows as artillery.
They're artillery. Sully's men were armed with long-range rifles rather than the usual cavalry carbines, which gave them a decided advantage over the Sioux, mostly armed with, we already know, muskets, shotguns, and bows and arrows.
Damn right.
Meanwhile, some of the Sioux Sibley had chased west across the Missouri River, had returned to the east of the river to replenish their winter supplies of buffalo meat. Sully searched for the Indians toward the southeast on September 3rd. Sully found numerous remains of recently killed buffalo near a lake, and that afternoon his scout Frank Laframboise and mixed-blood Santee reported a village of 400 lodges 10 miles ahead. Ooh. Laframboise was captured briefly by a party of Sioux warriors, but released, a sign perhaps that the Sioux were not looking for a battle.
Right.
Well, we already just had, I think it was Big Mount, a couple episodes where they weren't looking for a battle, and then remember those evil Indians came up and shot the interpreter guy or whatever, and then that scene what happened there.
Right. That's the problem. The Indians, I mean, they usually go by what the elders.
You had the elders that generally didn't want war.
Right.
Because they already knew, but you had the young warriors that are like, screw this, they're taking our livelihood, which, I mean, hard to fault them, I guess.
Yep. Sully ordered his advance force, a battalion of the 6th Iowa, numbering about 300 men, under Major General A.E. House, to surround the encampment to prevent the Indians from leaving. He left 4 companies to guard his supply train and then advanced with his main force at a gallop covering the 10 miles in about an hour. They're just galloping.
10 miles an hour. Good for them. Well, Major House and his battalion of the 6th Iowa were scouting the Indian camp and waiting for Sibley to come forward with more soldiers. A delegation from the Sioux advanced with a white flag constructed from a flour sack.
Oh.
They claimed to be peaceful and only interested in hunting, and offered to surrender several of their chiefs. Oh, jeez.
What the hell?
I don't trust that at all.
Right. Take our leaders.
Take all of our guys.
Well, House, he's lacking instructions. He demanded that the whole camp of Indians surrender unconditionally. He suspected that the Indians were stalling so the women would have time to pack up the camp and escape.
That's exactly what was happening.
Well, he was likewise stalling until House was likewise stalling until reinforcements has arrived. He's like, we're playing the same game here, boys. The Yankatone, including the Cuthead Band. Yankatone, including the Cuthead Band, were probably the most populous Sioux peoples in the encampment, which also contained Santee, the Huckpapa, possibly including a rising leader named Sitting Bull.
Oh, Sitting Bull.
And also had the
Isn't he the one that
Siasapa and the Blackfoot Sioux?
Isn't Sitting Bull the one he eventually performed in like the Buffalo Bills wild shows,
I think so.
Wild West shows?
Sitting Bull,
and then they murdered him afterwards?
Possibly.
Like literally raided his shit and murdered him?
It could be. Sully believed the number of warriors in the encampment to be about 1,500. Oh, we got 1,500 warriors, huh?
Yeah, he was the one that did Custer.
He did
They went to Buffalo Bill, but then they,
Yeah, he killed Custer, didn't he?
No, on the thing, but because of fears that Sitting Bull would use his influence, he wasn't even doing anything. But there was another Indian thing, and they were scared that he was going to lead the thing, so they went and raided him and shot him in the side and the head.
Oh.
Damn, by Standing Rock policeman Lieutenant Bullhead.
Oh, nice.
So Bullhead shot Sitting Bull in the head.
Oh, no.
That's messed up, dude.
And they dug up his remains and reburied him near Moorebridge, South Dakota, near his birthplace.
His family did, yes.
Good for you.
Crazy. That seems exaggerated, that number of 1,500 does. 400 lodges with 5 to 10 persons per lodge would house 2,000 to 400, or 4,000 persons, including 5 to 1,000 adult males, some women, children, and aged people probably haven't been left behind for safety west of the Missouri River. Sioux claimed they had 950 men in battle. Probably about right.
Right.
Sully arrived about 6 p.m. on the ridge overlooking the large, much dispersed Indian encampment. He estimated that only 600 to 700 of his men were present.
Okay.
He saw the Sioux packing up their teepees and departing, and concluded that the Indians were more inclined to flee than fight.
Right, just let them go, clearly. Man. Right, let them go. Sully's objective was to corral the Indians, and he deployed his force to cut off their escape routes. and the advance on the village.
Why?
Do it. He sent Colonel Wilson in the 6th Iowa to his right, and Colonel Furness and the 2nd Nebraska to his left to occupy several ravines, which offered the Sioux an opportunity to conceal themselves from the soldiers, and they can get the hell out of town. Covered on both flanks, Sully with 3 companies and artillery advanced into the encampment without serious opposition. Serious is like one guy. 2 chiefs, Little Head and Big
All right.
2 chiefs, Little Head and Big Head, and about 150 of their followers, they surrendered. Because of the close quarters and chaotic nature of the battlefield, Sully was unable to use his artillery.
Well, probably a good thing.
Right. This guy just wanted to use his shit.
I know.
These guys clearly didn't want to fight.
And he's like, we're going to kill them all.
Right.
Many of the Sioux were caught between the 6th Iowa and the 2nd Nebraska, and with the Iowa soldiers advancing on foot and pushing the Sioux into the arms of the Nebraskans, who exchanged fire with the Indians at a range of only 60.
Arms of Nebraskans,
they had corn. Yeah, but they were had exchanged fire with them at a range of only 60 yards.
Hey.
With darkness approaching, however, Colonel Wilson of the 6th Iowa ordered an ill-advised mounted charge with 1 battalion. However, in his haste, he failed to order some of his men to load their weapons, and heavy fire from the Sioux caused the cavalry horses to bolt and the charge to break down.
They're like, why weren't you guys ready? Well, no one told us to load.
We didn't know we were supposed to load our weapon.
Oh my goodness.
The battalion fell back and took up defensive positions on foot.
Wow.
We're supposed to load?
Oh my.
Why isn't that firing?
Oh jeez. On the left flank, Colonel Furness, he was cold, so he turned up the degrees. On the left,
Colonel Furness provided the heat.
Yeah. On the old left side, Colonel Furness also withdrew his Nebraskans to a defensive position. He was fearing friendly fire and losing control of his soldiers and increasing darkness.
Yeah,
they're at.
ask.
They don't like the Union don't like being out after dark.
Of course, why would you ask? What's his name? Old Stonewall that worked out for him.
That was the rebels.
Well, I'm saying.
That's
what happens when you try to fight in the dark.
Soldiers spent a harrowing night. The soldiers spent a harrowing night. It says, the Indians pillaged the battlefield and scalped the dead soldiers. Squaws were screaming and wailing. Wow.
Squaws, isn't that,
birds, aren't they?
No, it's them.
All right. A wounded soldier screamed for help, but the soldiers thought he was a decoy to lure them out of their defenses.
No, he literally needed help.
Yeah. And it was probably a decoy as well.
Right.
They found him the next morning, still alive, but dying from lacerations inflicted by the old Indians. The Sioux escaped in the darkness, as they always do.
Did. The next morning, the camp was empty of Indians, except for the dead and a few lost children and women. Sully sent out patrols to attempt to locate the fleeing Sioux, but they found few Indians.
It's stupid. You don't ever want to leave. They're definitely coming back to bury their family members.
They have to, I guess, right? Sully ordered all the Indian property abandoned in the camp. Yeah. He ordered all the Indian property abandoned in the camp to be burned. Oh. This included 300 teepees and 400,000 to 500,000 pounds of dry buffalo meat. Why are you burning this stuff? Take it.
They couldn't eat. They won't eat.
It doesn't matter.
Injun, they're savages. They want anything an Injun does.
Oh, that's stupid.
That's how they were back then.
They also burnt the winter supplies of the Indians and the product of 1,000 butchered buffalo. What a bunch of idiots. Right. If this was the Confederates, they would have took all that shit.
Yeah, you ain't getting.
You
might have won a war.
Right. With that score. Right. Holy shit.
They would just quit the war. Like, we're good.
we got 500,000 pounds of dry buffalo meat.
It'll last us for about 3 months, but we're good.
September 5th, Sully's soldiers. Hey, that's a movie.
Right.
Had another encounter with the Sioux. A patrol of 27 soldiers commanded by
Lieutenant.
Sully soldiers, yeah. Or
is there such thing as a rap band? I don't think there is. Rap group.
Right.
They're bands.
Why is a boy band called a boy band? They don't play instruments.
A boy group.
That's what it is. A patrol of 27 soldiers commanded by Lieutenant Charles W. Hall.
Right. Why are they with? No. And they can't. What?
They encountered an estimated 300 Sioux about 15 miles from Whitestone Hill.
Just leave them alone, man. I want nothing to do with you stupid bastards. They're scared.
They want to...
The Indians chased the soldiers. Oh, I'm not scared. The old Indians chased the soldiers back to Sibley's camp. killing 6 and wounding 1.
Jeez.
I mean, you back a dog in a corner. I don't care, any dog.
Right, rough.
He's like, rough motherfuckers.
Growl. Thanks for the hearts.
Ooh, ice cream.
Ice cream, so good.
Oh, jeez. Sully's casualties were approximately 22 murdered, 38 wounded. No reliable estimates of Sioux killed and wounded are available, with estimates ranging from 100 to 300. I'm going to take, could be 100, could be 300. Oh, no, women and children as well?
Of course, dude.
Captured Sioux totaled 156, including 32 adult males.
So the rest were women and children and non-adult males?
Indian sources often call Whitestone Hill a massacre, with Sully attacking a peaceful camp, killing a large number of women and children. I would have to agree with that after hearing this evidence. And they concur that Sully's band, deliberately destroyed.
Sully's band.
All right.
That was the Sully Soldiers.
Right. What's going on here? They concur that Sully and his band deliberately destroyed substantial food supplies, what they did, equipment as well, and living shelters.
Idiots. One of Sully's interpreters. One of Sully's interpreters, Samuel J. Brown, who was a mixed blood Sioux, said it was a perfect massacre, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And lamentable to hear how those women and children was massacred.
Oh, that's ridiculous. I can just see.
The contrary view is that Sully had a long demonstrated concern for the Indians and a spotless record of honor and integrity.
Now, whatever.
Despite the deliberate targeting and execution of children and infants,
oh my,
the substantial casualties of the soldiers demonstrate, according to Michael Clodfelter, fuck you guy, that Whitestone Hill was a battle, not a massacre. Shut up, dude. Don't try to justify the Union just because they're the Union.
It wasn't even Union. It was a Union, the South, all of them with engine.
But I'm saying, don't try to justify the Union right here just because they're the Union. They clearly did some fucked up shit.
Right.
That shouldn't have happened.
Indians were seen as savages, barely even human.
Right.
Savages.
But you don't kill women and children. I don't care.
They didn't care. They weren't people.
Yes, that's nobody else did that.
Everybody else did that.
You see all these battles. When's the last time we've seen a battle between the Union and Indians where a village of women and children were slaughtered?
It's true. Happens all the time, though. Due to poor conditions of his horses and mules and lack of supplies, Sully was unable to pursue the Sioux any longer.
Good.
Yeah. They're leaving. They were on the run for what? Since, what's his face?
Forever. Sibley.
Yeah. Idiot. Yeah, Sibley. He left Whitestone Hill on the 6th of September, 1863. He marched his men to Fort Pierre in present-day South Dakota. He still wanted to do it. Nearby, he built another fort called Fort Sully.
Yeah.
This little freaking, what do you call it?
Conceited
fucking son of a bitch. Where some of his men were garrisoned for the winter. That's a hell of a winter in South Dakota. This would lead to a renewed operation in 1864 against the Sioux and the Battle of Killdeer Mountain, which we'll have.
Kill Sioux Mountain.
Right. While Sully's expedition impoverished. Yeah. While Sully's expedition impoverished some of the Sioux, it did not achieve its objective of ending the Indian threat in the eastern Dakotas. Of course not. There was not even a threat.
Jeez, dude. How about don't take their land?
Right. How about just leaving those
motherfuckers alone? They wouldn't go be attacking all these whiteys.
All right. You could have easily came in and they would have let you build houses.
These are my ancestors we're talking about.
Right. Not these guys.
Well, blood.
If we're in like Illinois or Indiana or Ohio.
Or Wisconsin, clearly. Minnesota, clearly.
Yeah, it's not us. We're Quebecans and
Chippewas, man.
Yeah, Quebecans and Ottawans. And Quebec, Ottawa, and Ohio. That's where our roots come from.
LaDonna Brave Bull Allard, a Standing Rock Sioux tribal historian, states to the contrary that after the incident, U.S. forces continued to pursue, harass, and kill the Sioux for several days.
They would.
Instead of
the Sioux,
instead of them saying that Sully retired and went to the other fort, this guy's saying he actually pursued, harassed, and killed them.
Right. These guys didn't help himself either. I mean, I get it. You want revenge, all your family getting killed, so you're just going to kill women and children and all that. Like the Indians did that too.
Eye for an eye.
Right. But that's why they didn't help the case.
You kill our women and children, we kill your women and children.
Right. But if they have just fleed and be like, hey, dude, we've been peaceful the whole time after you've been murdering all of us. We don't want, just let us go. If not, this is what we do. We take people's freaking skin on their heads.
Well, after that, about 600 Sioux, mostly Santee, took refuge in Canada after the battle. They were followed by 3,000 more in 1864. Minnesota expelled all Sioux, including those who had not participated in the Dakota War of 1862, and also expelled the friendly Winnebago tribe. The Winnebago tribe never did nothing.
These guys didn't even see
This is the first we're even hearing about these guys.
These guys
they went on to invent freaking campers.
Yeah, right. Right.
The state confiscated and sold all Sioux land in the state.
Of course they did.
Soon, only 25 Santee, steadfast friends of the whites, were allowed to live in the state. Yeah, probably treated like shit and everybody wants to say that the Union was the good guys and never did anything. I mean, look at how they treated the Indians.
I mean, Unions were Republican and Rebs were Democrat. They both freaking suck. Both terrible.
But the thing is, this is the Republicans just only existed for like 2 years. Yeah, the Republican Party was formed in like, 1860? Or, Lincoln was the first.
First
guy to run under Republican.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I don't know who they are yet.
Right.
So it's not the Republican. It's actually...
It's Republican.
No, it's the Whig Party and...
It's Republican.
Well, it's Republican, but... Yeah. No, fuck them. They're gay. They're gay.
The Republicans would do the same thing today if they had the chance.
Yep. And Democrats have been doing the same thing for years. State Historical Society of North Dakota protects a portion of the battlefield as Whitestone Hill State Historic Site. Okay. You can see that. You can visit it. You can take pictures, anything you want, buds. The site includes a small museum about the battle.
Just don't try to take a selfie with the buffalo because they'll fuck you up.
Yeah. 2 monuments are there. Maybe still. We don't know. It's since 2020. There's a lot of things missing.
Union, though, so.
One honoring the Indian dead and the second commemorating the soldiers who died in the battle.
Yeah, those are still there.
There's also a picnic area so you can laugh and play while there's a bunch of dead names on the monument.
Right.
The site is openly sexual.
They have open sexuality.
Right. The non-binary site is open seasonally.
Their pronouns are land
and enjoy. Or pay enjoy.
Right.
The site is openly seasonally. What? The site is
it's openly seasonal.
Right.
Hey, here we embrace our seasons: winter, fall, or autumn.
The site is open seasonally, which is probably only in summertime.
Clearly, nobody wants there to damn 3 feet of snow.
The nonprofit, which is a lie, Whitestone Hill Battlefield Historical Society, partners with the State Historical Society of North Dakota to support preservation and interpretation at the Whitestone Hill Battlefield.
Yes, sir.
Ain't that some shit?
Ain't that some shit?
Well, damn.
Oh, damn. That's almost as messed up as the Lawrence Massacre that we just covered last episode.
And the Union did them both.
And, well, they didn't.
They did.
No, because Quantrill's Raider was Confederates.
Yeah, but they were...
militia of Confederates.
Yeah, they were claiming that the Union... The only reason why they did that because the Union came in and killed the whole town.
No.
Yeah, there was
no, they did it because that Lawrence, Kansas was pro-abolitionist and shit. And in that area, Quantrill's Raiders, yeah, they had battles with them before, but...
No, the Union came in and, murdered their people.
Afterwards, it was they said on the way to chase the Raiders afterwards, they were murdering people aimlessly.
Right. But ridiculous.
That was after it. I mean, come on, man. You got blood boiling now.
No, you can't be just like them. That's
seeing red again!
It takes your mission away if you're doing exactly what they're doing.
Well, Confederates are... savages. Sometimes they're barely even human. So
right. That's terrible.
With that, we end this one, and we'll come. we'll come to you next week for the second Battle of Sabine Pass.
I don't even remember doing Sabine Pass for the first time.
Well, it was a long time ago. Got the Bayou Forge, not to be confused with the Bayou Love Forge, which we've had a few years ago.
No lie.
And Davis's Crossroads.
Hey.
Which Sabine Pass is in Texas. We haven't been in Texas in a while. La Forge or Forge is actually in Arkansas, so we got about a couple bayous that were
in Pulaski County.
This is continuing the Little Rock campaign, which we just covered in Chattanooga.
Bunch of Polacks in Arkansas. Bunch of Polacks in Arkansas.
And then the Davis's Crossroad was in Georgia. As part of the Chickamauga Campaign, which that will lead us directly into the Battle of Chickamauga, which will be its own episode because it's a long one.
It's a good one.
And that's where we leave off here. A reminder, go check out our new series according to Wikipedia, where this week's episode will all be about the dodo bird.
The dodo.
That's right, the dodo bird. If you guys don't know what we do over there, we take random...
It's a pigeon.
We take random Wikipedia pages. We spin a little wheel, whatever it lands on, that's what we read. We read them so you don't have to. We've covered already...
I wish you guys would actually read them because, damn.
We've covered climate change. We've covered the Napoleonic Wars. We've covered sexual intercourse.
And all it is propaganda.
And this week we'll be covering
propaganda.
The dodo bird. So.
All it is propaganda.
And then also go check out Outlaws and Gunslingers, where we're in the middle.
Is there any proof of the dodo bird? Oh, yeah. There
yes.
Oh, that's stupid.
How many episodes are you going to do this on? And then go check out Outlaws and Gunslingers, where we're in the middle of the mafia. This week's episode...
You're a wise guy, eh?
This week's episode is actually going to wrap up the Genovese family.
What are you talking about?
And then next week we'll start the Lucchese family. So we got still 4 more families to go after the Genovese one. So we got a lot of mafia action over there at Outlaws and Gunslingers.
We got a lot of moida
next week. Well, I think we've had more murder. We've actually had more murder in our Civil War than we've had since we've been covering the mafia, to be honest with you.
They're not even, the mafia is nice.
I know.
It's not what they portray on TV. They don't kill people.
Compared to these guys in the Civil War. But join us next week for more action in 1863 of the battles of the American Civil War. We have the Mothers Against.
Dang.